So today on Project Shop, we have an absolute mess going on here. We got the best electrician in South Florida over here helping us out. Got a lot of aluminum to process today. Unfortunately, someone had already taken these ballast out of here. I thought that was extrusion. Looks like just some bent sheet. We might get a couple transformers, recover a couple LEDs that are still working, but for the most part these things were already clean. Now, I did pick up a bunch of transformers from this guy, and I have them out here somewhere, but we have an absolute mess out here. But I did get some cool things. I got well, let me show you this first. We have all this chaotic craziness going on. Okay, we did a bunch of inlays. Got more lamps to add to the pile that need to go to the local dump. Looks like we're gonna have rain today. Also, we got this. You've seen that in other videos. I still need to get to that, but check this out. I got a message on Facebook Marketplace from a guy. Said he was cleaning out a machine shop and had some stuff I might be interested in. Looks like it's gonna rain, so I'm gonna have to try to bring this stuff in. I don't want this getting wet. I paid actually I paid more than scrap price. I paid 10 cents a pound. The local scrap price for prepared steel right now is 8.5 or whatever. But this is all, in my opinion, some really good stuff. Solid. Look at this solid bar. I mean, that's probably 150 bucks right there. Big flat bar, bunch of more big flat bar, more flat bars. Just nice solid round stock, flat bar, everything on this pallet. Bunch of cool stuff. I got a double acting, I believe it's a 110 pump with a little cylinder. We're gonna have to check that out and see if that works. I got two, I don't even know what they are, custom jack cylinders, some plates, angles, just a bunch of bits of heavy steel. I got a whole bunch of this cool stuff, octagon stock, and then some other bits that I just thought was pretty cool. But the main thing is this thing right here. I got myself another granulator. Now, this thing is missing some parts, but the main meats and potatoes of what you need is here. It's already got the double thing, right? It's missing the blades. It does have some of the knives on it back here. That's one of the knives right here. But I'm actually going to go talk with this guy today. I'm not sure what these are. The guy that messaged me was picking this up from a guy that was retiring. He had a machine shop and he's retiring, so he had this stuff. He's actually apparently got some more stuff and a lathe I'm going to go over there and look at today. But this was right up my alley. Being that it looks like it's gonna rain, I'm gonna help Oliver palletize this stuff real quick. I'm gonna stuff this stuff back up in the shop. I don't really want it getting wet. I'm gonna have to sort it later. And then we are going to move on to this crazy amount of scrap I got going on over here. Just bins and bins of heavy cast. I got a whole pile of extruded poles. I paid 15 cents a pound. Last time I sold extrusion, I got like $1.13 or something crazy, man. So we're almost gonna make $1 a pound on that. Bunch more heavy cast, and just a bunch of random bits somewhere around here. I think it's in here. These plates have transformers on them, so we'll get a couple little transformers. Not a lot. There's a few laying. I see one there. A few up in these lights, but we're just gonna get a shitload of cast aluminum and extrusions out of this today. I gotta figure out some, I gotta make some room in the shop, man. We are just like overrun. I gotta I think I need to re-palletize this stuff, get it kind of sorted a little better. I can probably condense this all down into one pallet in that drum. not sure when the GoPro shut off, but we moved that stuff out of here, and now we're on to processing some lights. We got some monster transformers. Unfortunately, I can already see aluminum. These might be double, I don't know. We ain't gonna get much copper out of here, that's for sure. Let's check them real quick. It's about 12 o'clock, so I know this one here is double copper. Oliver went to go get some lunch. He's bringing back Chipotle. Yeah, one aluminum, one copper. These General Electrics, I believe, are double aluminum. Oh no, we got some copper. We got, okay, one copper, one aluminum. I'm good with that. So at least we'll get a little copper. We got some small transformers, a little pile over here. We're going to go through this bin so I can use it to kind of stockpile stuff. Oh, and I just went and actually met the guy where that came from. A guy messaged me on Facebook. He's like a part-time scrapper. I guess he's known the guy for years. The guy gave him all this stuff or whatever, and then he contacted me. I gave him a better scrap price than the scrap yard, and he also gave me the guy's number. So apparently this machine is like from China, but the guy was making the knives for it and the blades, and he actually let me take a picture of the blueprint for the knives. So I have the schematic basically to build the knives for this that it's missing. He said he was making them on his milling machine, so I just have to get the proper steel, like a high carbon or high, I forget what he said, tool steel or something. But he said he was just making them right on a milling machine. So we'll be doing that. And I went over there to look at a lathe that he had, because I'd like to repair the shaft on my granulator, which is in pieces on that cart right there. This lathe is not long enough to hold the shaft that I need. And I just looked at a lathe. It's around the same size, but it's a lot longer. So I might work out a deal on him with that. And he has a surface grinder that I was interested, and a nice belt sander, and he has a overhead, like a hoist. I took a bunch of pictures. I'm gonna have my buddy that I got my milling machine from go over there and look at it with me, because he knows a lot more about it than me. But while I was there, I was able to buy a forklift propane tank for 40 bucks. Now I see these things online all day long for $100 plus, and pretty much they all need to be recertified. Matter of fact, this is a 08 to 16. They're good for 12 years. So that actually needs to be recertified. Mine actually needs to be recertified. That one is 16. Mine is out of date, because every time I take it there, the guy tells me, oh, I shouldn't be filling this, but I'll do it this time. But he goes ahead and fills it for me anyway. Oh, 901. So mine is like 24 years out of inspection. That one's newer. So oh no, from the manufacturing date. So if 901 that would have went out of date in 2013, because they're good for 12 years. If this is a 16, we're still in spec. I can go get this filled up without him complaining. Yeah. If this was made in 8/16, we're still in, let's see, 26. We still got like 3 years or something. So I am going to call and see what it's going to take to get that recertified. He does have one more tank there, but he wanted to hold on to it in case his he gets his forklift back. His buddy took it to Boston or whatever. Anyway, it was an eventful day. Oliver's going to get lunch. When he comes back, we're gonna chill, take a break, and then we're gonna come out here and just shred through some scrap, man. We want to get a pile on the table of transformers, and I actually want to clean this table off. Oh, all of those lights we broke down earlier, that's why you gotta look. I'm gonna have to bring them back in here at a later date. They're already on a pallet, so I want to go through some other things. Every one of these lights is high dollar extrusion. Now I could sell it off just the way it is for like, I think what I get, 69, 70 cents a pound for old sheet. But I got $1.13 a pound for extrusion. And how you can tell this is extruded is the way these lines are. I'm gonna do a video on how to tell the different types of metal real quick. I could just look at stuff and be like, oh, okay, that's old sheet, that's extrusions, that's cast. That comes with experience. Most people, you know, that watch this channel probably already know, but for those that don't, I'll show you how you can easily tell. I believe these are extrusions too, but they got a lot of, I don't know if I want to spend the time cleaning that up. We'll see. Look at this mess, man. My neighbors are probably like, what the is going on over there? But hey, we'll get this cleaned out. I'm working towards, I got to get into that bay, man, because my other tire machine's over there. I got to get them both sitting side by side and see which one I actually want to fix. I think I want to make this one an operational tire machine. I don't know, I think it's a little heavier duty. It just looks bigger. And it does have the gauge there, it has a gauge up there. It's pretty much the exact same thing, but it looks beefier. And this is a cool deal here. I've never seen a tire machine with a button right here. Usually it's a foot pedal over here. I don't know, we'll see. What I'm gonna do is make a custom thing here. This is nice that this just unbolts. We're gonna mount my plasma cutter right there. And then I can have a spring pushing this in, right? And then we'll just set this to the height. We'll let it run around. We'll let it, I'll loosen that and just let it kind of creep up. Maybe we'll even put a hand crank here to bring it up. I don't know, we'll figure something out. We need to bring it up smooth at a steady pace. What I could probably do is put a small motor and a gear and just an up and down button and just go up. And then once it gets to that, I think that's what I'm gonna do, because I can go down, hit the rotation, it'll just stay there. What we're gonna do is have a little idler pulley that pushes, you know, that rides around with it. I don't know, we'll figure it out though. I'm hungry and I'm rambling. But check this out. It comes with a number, myfixland.com. Huh. So when I go to get my tire balancer straightened out, maybe I'll call them. This one has the regulator. This one has some things that my other one doesn't, and then my other one has stuff that this, but I'm pretty sure I can get a working unit out of the two. Either way. All right, I'm rambling. All right, we're back at it. Now, I'm literally like gridlocked and I have no bins. So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna empty this one out here. And I think I'm gonna start throwing some steel in here. And then I can empty this one out. And then we're gonna start throwing cast in here. And being that all those light fixtures out there are extrusions, I think that one's extruded. I have to check those. I'm gonna get all that. I have a whole bin of those extrusions. We're probably gonna utilize one of the other baskets for straight up extrusions, because I have all them poles to cut. We'll bring them in and cut them with the skill saw. Literally the fastest way I know of doing that. We can finally get some organization, because it is absolute chaos at the moment. These are extruded, these are from them 2x4 inlays. That's all extrusions. We're gonna get this sorted and get something going here because we are just overrun with scrap at the moment. Nice chunk of copper there. I'd say that's a keeper. So the camera died at some point, but I wanted to show you this thing here. Had these wing nuts. You get the right size socket, you can just put your socket over it and back it out. Now I've seen those gator grip sockets I like the concept, but I've never really seen anyone give them a really good review. I'd like to know if anyone's ever had them, because I'd like to try one. Because they would be perfect for that application. Did you get yourself a multimeter yet? Have you even had to use one? No. You're not dealing with live stuff, right? Huh? Not yet? At least one of them's copper. Stupid aluminum transformer. Not sure what it is, but it's got copper on it. Maybe some type of thermostat. Set that aside for some micro scrap. I get a lot of these little landscape lights. I don't even take them apart really. If I can smash the glass, that one's plastic, I'll send that just like that. These things, depending on the type, now you can get tedious and try to take these apart. There is some extrusions in there. I break it here, sell that as cast, sell that as a ballast, sell that as dirty brass. So I'll put that over there. Actually, I'm going to put this in the bin of the ones that I'm checking. This one's got corrosion, I won't even check that. This one's already broke, that's what I'm talking about. I sell this as an electronic ballast because it's basically what it is. It's an electronic driver. It's got a little transformer in there, a bunch of capacitors and whatnot. Cut that brass off of there, you get a lot of money for that. That goes right with the cast. Even these screw-in LEDs right with the cast. Sometimes I'll try and knock out the plastic so it don't look so bad. You mess around with this stuff for an hour or so, it really does add up. This here I found one of the smallest star bits. Now, sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't, because this is real tedious. Now that is super tedious and not something I really want to be doing a lot of. So that's as far as I go with that. I will take these stainless bolts off though. I'll keep those. All these sides, and this right here is all high dollar extrusion. nice chunks of extrusion. We're gonna have to get a bin for them now. These here, these are gonna take like a number 1 to clean up, but that is a nice chunk of extrusion. It's gonna take a number 1 Phillips. I don't know, man. I got a whole stack of them over there from the other day. I haven't decided yet if it's worth it, but for the price, it might be worth it. 65 cents a pound or $1.13 a pound. Well, we got a couple more of the same things to do. I'm gonna grab something to drink and turn the stereo on, hit the time lapse, finish blowing this stuff off the table. We got a pile of sheet I need to get a bin in here for. We're getting a nice little chunk of cast. I'll kind of fix that up a little bit so we can get more in here. And then this is our, well, I'm using this for steel in here. I'll bring that out to the trailer and flip that into the trailer, or just load it in the back of the trailer like that. Why move it twice? Nice little chunk. Some of these are double coppers. Most of these are one big aluminum, small copper, but they're worth processing. These here, most likely, they might be cutters. Yeah, you can always tell the I's and E's. We did get a couple double aluminums. We'll add to our, that's copper. We'll add to our irony pile. But at least we're getting a good start on this stuff now. And once we get a pile of stuff that needs to be cut, I'll set the jawl up. Most likely these things here, I'm just gonna cut the ends off. I think these are pinned on. I'm not gonna sit there and try to drill them. I might unscrew these and just cut one little piece, but we want as much of that extrusion as possible, man. At $1, I've never gotten over $1 a pound for aluminum, so $1.13 a pound. We want to, and hopefully it's up and it wasn't just a fluke. We want to keep the extrusion rolling. Okay, I'm back at it. It's another day. Me and Oliver had to cut off and then take care of some other things. So we didn't get as much done on Saturday as I would like, but we got a good beat on some stuff outside and what's going on here. We actually have a mess I need to bring in the bins, but before I do that, I'm just gonna go ahead and finish cleaning off the table so we have, you know, something nice to start with. We did get a little pile of transformers. Fortunately, not a lot of copper going to be here. Some of these are going to be cutters. I opened this one up. You can tell by the lines in here that these plates are back and forth glued together like that. There's no way to just like cut that. I like the bandsaw approach. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go get that right now. We do have these that need to be cut. I've showed these many times. They are a pain in the butt. They have this notch. See the notch? That's a good representation. So that notch won't allow my press to shear that down. And you know, you can always tell it has these things. Even hitting these with a hammer is tough because it doesn't give that, it won't go anywhere. It's basically locked in the top and bottom. The only way to do these is to hit them with the grinder, or you can cut the coil this way, but you know, in my opinion, I don't like cutting the coils like that if I don't have to. If I don't have to cut coils, I won't. I will always grind the welds and push out the core and leave the copper intact as much as possible, because you're losing, you know, it's just a little bit of copper, but you're still losing copper. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and finish these lights out. I have a bunch more of these. We're getting some good extrusions out of there. We are going to have a massive pile of these when I'm done. Look at that. That's a nice little chunk. There is a plate of aluminum on top, but it's got to come off. That's going to be tedious. I'm going to get them all done. I got a bunch more outside. We're going to line them all up, and then I'm just going to hit them real quick and see how fast I can get that done. But I think we got a oh, that feels like a double copper transformer. You can just, I've done this so long, I could just pick these up, not only just visually looking at them and sometimes looking at the manufacturer, but just picking them up. I know right away what we're dealing with, so that's good. All right, we're gonna hit the time lapse, clear the bench off, then we'll start bringing in the bins, clean this up a little bit, and we're gonna have to get an extrusion bin, because we're gonna have, hopefully we're gonna have a nice little chunk of extrusion here. Well, I know we are, because I'm gonna cut up all them big poles. And for that, we're gonna use the skill saw. And it's not, I do have blades, specific blades for cutting aluminum, but that's just a regular, like a plywood blade or wood blade or something. Cuts through that aluminum like butter. And I know a lot of people say, oh, flip the blade backwards and whatnot, and that might help with kickbacks, but you know, I like that aggressive cut and just ram right through it. Okay, I'm kind of cooking right along over here. I got a whole pile of extrusions, but I want to show you what I just did, because this just made this so much easier. Now, a lot of these light fixtures, for years, I've known they were extrusions, and I just let them slide because it was only like 20 cents a pound difference, and then the work to get it out. And now, it's almost a 50 cent a pound difference on the extrusions compared to sheet. So I'm definitely recovering as much as I can, and this is what it looks like. Okay, and this is how you know, well, as soon as I look in and I can see this rib right here, I know that's extrusion, because the only way to get that in the middle of a flat sheet is by pushing it through a mold. The only way you're going to get this crisp edge, you can't, you know, that's all part of it. You can't bend that. You can't really bend that. You know, you can just tell that this was made pushing through a mold. We're going to be recovering all that stuff from now on. We got our sheet bucket. I've been throwing sheet in, our cast bucket, and then this bucket here, I actually, as soon as I clear the table, we're going to start running through all this cast, fill out the rest of that, and probably have to start another one. But I want to use this here for extrusions, because I got a couple good thick layers of this plastic, and I do have a new roll. Here's what I've been doing. I've been trying to figure out an easy way to break these apart, and I just found it. the stator wrecking machine. This beast here is a do-all scrap machine, okay? Unfortunately, I don't have enough stroke to do the complete job. And if I had another jig, I actually might just make one real quick. And this pump here, I have my jaws of life plumbed into this right now, temporarily, just to see if it worked, rather than disconnect that pump, which is a pain in the butt, picking that pump up and dragging it over here. But that other pump it's basically twice as fast as this one. This is slow as molasses. Let's quit yapping and show you some action here. I think I'll just hold this right here. So basically, here, let me just show you this. Basically, these are welded, right? And then these ones, it's really tough. This piece of sheet down here is in a groove, right? There's a groove. Let me show you. If you know how things are constructed, it gives you a better idea how to deconstruct it, okay? That's why when I was cutting concrete, I was really good. For years before I cut concrete, I poured concrete. So I knew about rebars, where it should be, and it just made it easier when I was cutting stuff, dismantling it. Anyway, the sheet is in that groove and it's welded in a few spots. Now I was sitting here beating it, and I'm still gonna have to beat it. I have a whole pallet out there of these and like elongated ones. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm gonna take a plate that slides in there and I'm gonna weld just a rod to it, okay? And I'll show you why here in a second. So I'm gonna put this in there. Now what I did in the past with these is I would cut down one side, you know, cut down and then beat that out with a hammer. But you're using Sawzall blades. Now I could use the skill saw, and maybe it might be faster to use the skill saw, but you still have to break all this up. And I found that just putting it in here like this, now this is really slow. We'll probably speed this up. Now, if I had a flat plate in there, it'd be a lot easier. Basically, we're just breaking the corners. See that opening it up? Woo! There we go. Look at that. Woo! Now, at this point, let me bring that back up. Yeah, we got to up our hydraulics. Now at this point, if I had a jig, I could just slide in here with a rod. I could just come. I'm just gonna shut this off for now. I could just come in and push down with that thing, and it would just push this right out. Now, I do have a hydraulic setup that I'm building for this. I got the motor, the pump, the reservoir. I need some spool valve in and hoses, and then this thing's gonna be way faster. We're doing what we can. So now that that's broken, what we want to do is hit this as close as we can to this edge and max them welds down, break them free. You can do it with the little 4-pound, but 8-pounder works so much better. much gets that right out. And then these little rivets in here. There's like a metal insert in there. Just bangs right out, but other than a little silicone, that's a heavy, nice piece of extrusion. Now this one here, a big piece of, like, I'd call that clean sheet. Since it's aluminum, we're just going to let it slide. Bam. Okay, now I've yet to determine if that is cast. I think it's extrusion. But I'm going to have to cut this with my jaw. Let's see. We'll just set that to the side. I'm going to grab something to drink. Now that I have a decent setup for that, I'm going to process all this other stuff. Find any more transformers I have. While the machine is hooked up over there, I want to run them transformers, get all that copper, get all that heavy steel. Then we'll move the pump over here. Hopefully we won't have to be doing that much longer. And then I have stators to split, a couple generators to break down, so we'll have a bunch of use for this while the pump is over here. For now, I'm going to take a break, then we're going to come back and get on this cast. A lot of this, we might find a transformer or two in here, but I think all this stuff has pretty much been liberated, and just we got to pull the glass and any heavy steel out of it. A lot of heavy cast. Fortunately, the LEDs in there. I think most of the transformers have been removed already. Okay, let's start with this stuff here. And that might be good. But it looks like it was getting some heat damage. Oh, still got a little transformer in there. And by the looks of it, that's a double copper. Okay. Nice big clean piece of cast. Wow, that's full of water. I'm not even going to mess with that. I'm just going to cut the wire and send it. This one probably has a baby transformer in it. Man, this was like a brand new light almost. Copper transformer. I'll send that just the way it is, maybe crack the glass. I'm gonna have to revamp my thing over here. I want to at least get the rest of this in this one bin. That just created a whole bunch of space. Probably get another 100 or 200 pounds in that bin. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to start being more mindful of the screws. Man, I've thrown away so many stainless screws over the years. Not necessarily thrown away, but I've thrown them with the prepared steel. I'm going to try to start getting like a bucket full of them. Try this on. These were either in a bad neighborhood or some type of ball field. Man, these things are so hard to get apart, but they are extruded aluminum. But they're really tedious. Oh, this one was brittle from heat. They put glue, like, I can't even get the, barely get the thing in there. Like they put silicone, and then these are a number one. I'll set this to the side. So this right there, when I break out a number one bit for something else, I'll clean that up. That one actually wasn't that bad taken apart. The plastic is just so brittle. It was inside this sealed box, just creating heat. Really wasn't designed wow, that plastic is just crumbling. But that'll make for two nice pieces of extrusion. I just got to get these two little number one Phillips screws out, and then this, I'll cut the end off of this like that. I'll send that with the ballast. You know, the electronic drivers for the LEDs, it's exactly what that is. It's just in a different form. So I've been throwing them in there. They should have no problem. I've been saving these too. These little adapter things. Okay. I'm pretty sure these little tabs are stainless. Slightly magnetic. Now what do you guys do when your shit's slightly magnetic? It's barely wanting to pick that up. Would you still consider that stainless? Or magnetic stainless and throw it with the shred? I've always thrown it with the shred, but they might buy it as stainless. Like at a certain grade, I don't know. Crazy how sheet aluminum is worth more than cast. When I started, cast was always more. Yeah, they took the ballast out of here, but these have really nice things. I'm actually going to keep them. Okay, so I need to wire up some of these LEDs. Okay. Find some small bits to fill in here. These feel like they all still have a transformer in them. More of that brass stuff from the other day. Look at that. I don't even know what that is. Oh, it's aluminum. Spider web. You know, as long as I've been doing this, I've come across a couple dead black widows and just a couple like brown spiders. I don't know if they were like brown recluse or not, but never, as many of these lights as I did, I never came across like what I would consider a deadly spider that was alive. One time I came across some black widows, but one time I did come across small brownish clear scorpions. Now I'm pretty sure that the big black emperor scorpions are like a bee sting, but the small ones, they pack a punch. Probably always a good idea to be wearing gloves doing this. This is like brand new in here. Pack that stuff in there. Someone put some salt tappers in that one. Okay, we pretty much have the table mostly cleared off. That stuff there still needs to be processed, but there's going to be more of that coming tomorrow. I'm cutting off for today. I got some things to do. We have a solid bin of cast aluminum. I rearranged and used these kind of as walls, and I just stuffed it as much as I could. We can actually get some more in here, and we might utilize it for that, but pretty much that basket's going to be full. We're going to move on. I'm going to take this basket outside, and what I've learned, because the first couple times I've wrapped that plastic, bending over that much is you know, and walking around in a circle at the same time is not the best thing for me. I'm kind of fat, and you know, I'll get dizzy and almost fall over. So what I did is I put that basket on top of another basket, and which put everything at my, you know, basically chest and you know, face height, and it was just way better. So I'll wrap the bottom a couple more wraps just to cover up these holes, and I'm going to utilize this bin here for all my extrusions. So we got a nice chunk here, and then tomorrow, I didn't get to it today, but tomorrow I'll cut up all them big long extruded poles. We'll get some weight in this thing and get ourselves a load to go to Miami. Now, unfortunately, I called for a price today, and man, what a drop. The other day, I got $4.30 something. Is this the ticket? No, maybe this is the ticket. Or the ticket's inside. But I got over $4.30 a pound for bright and shiny. I called today, and it's back down to $4. Which still is a decent price, but dag, man, what a roller coaster. And I'm glad I didn't buy no copper and sit on, well, I did buy that copper, but I bought it at a low price, and there ain't much there. So I'll strip that real quick tomorrow morning, and we just gonna keep packing these bins, man. I really love these bins. Matter of fact, I seen two more sitting over there. I think I'm gonna go grab them. I'm gonna get this stuff out of here so I can get this bin set up, clean this little pile up. And Steve just came by, sent him over to get some taco salads and my horchata that I've been waiting a month and a half for. So if you come this far, thanks for watching. Stay tuned, because we are gonna have another massive scrap out tomorrow. And I think in the morning, I'm actually gonna go pick some stuff up. We got a Jeep to cut up yet. Probably gonna hit the steel yard and have some more scrapping fun. I'll tell you where we're going, right to the scrap yard. Dancing. You ever seen your copper dance before?